Hollywood's golden age wasn't just about talent, glamour, and fame. Behind the velvet curtains of studio lots and hotel suites, a different kind of power played out, one measured not in awards but in whispers, desire, and control. These were the women who understood that in a world dominated by men, charm and allure could be weaponized. Tonight we dive into the untold stories of 15 classic Hollywood divas who slept with everyone, women who rewrote the rules, captivated the studios, and left legends whispered long after the cameras stopped rolling. Virginia Mayo, the angel behind closed doors. Virginia Mayo's public image was sweet and angelic, but behind the velvet curtains of Hollywood studios, she ruled with subtle magnetism. She understood early that the system rewarded charm as much as talent, and she wielded hers with precision. Producers, directors, even married stars found themselves ensnared by her gaze, each encounter carefully measured yet seemingly spontaneous. At private gatherings, she orchestrated whispered rendezvous and clandestine encounters that became legendary among insiders. Every studio knew her power. Her smile disarmed, her presence commanded, and her allure was a currency that never depreciated. Virginia Mayo wasn't just a starlet. She was a silent warning, elegant yet untouchable, a master of the unseen scripts of Hollywood's golden age. Beverly Michaels, the studio siren. Beverly Michaels carved her name into Hollywood with audacity. Off-screen, her talents were less about dialogue and more about whispers in dimly lit hallways, scribbled notes slipped into male co-stars' scripts, invitations to private rehearsals. She thrived in noir shadows, becoming a living legend of sexual mystique. Crew members and producers alike spoke of her with awe and caution. Every glance, every flirtation was calculated, yet intoxicatingly effortless. Beverly's reputation grew faster than her filmography. She never sought awards but cultivated influence, a presence that lingered long after the cameras stopped rolling. In the labyrinthine corridors of the studios, she was both myth and warning, beautiful, dangerous, and unforgettable. Linda Christian, the Continental Flame. Linda Christian arrived in Hollywood with fire in her veins and ambition sharper than her accent. She refused to ask permission and ignored the moral codes of the studios. Directors, co-stars, and studio executives became pawns in her unspoken game of desire and control. Her bed was neutral ground, her relationships transactional yet intoxicating, and her reputation legendary. While her films fluctuated between hits and forgettable roles, Linda's influence behind the scenes was undeniable. She engaged in affairs that left broken hearts, scandalized husbands, and whispered legends. In Hollywood, she was called dangerous, a woman who wielded her allure like a weapon, fully aware that power often came wrapped in silk sheets and midnight rendezvous. Beverly Tyler, the low-budget legend. Beverly Tyler never captured Oscars, but she commanded the backlot. Her notes to co-stars weren't about lines. They were invitations to clandestine rehearsals in empty dressing rooms, whispered exchanges that became industry folklore. Directors and producers both feared and admired her audacity. Her career was modest, but her personal legend eclipsed any award. Beverly was the star of her own private narrative, using charm as her script and seduction as her method. Every rumor carried weight, every encounter meticulously curated. Though her face rarely graced magazine covers, her influence on set was omnipresent, a silent but unforgettable force that shaped the studio's whispered history. Rita Moreno, the Latin Storm. Rita Moreno arrived as a whirlwind of charisma and danger, her accent sharp and her ambitions sharper. Hollywood dubbed her uncontainable, as she navigated sets, studios, and private gatherings with the grace of a predator in high heels. Directors and co-stars became secondary to her personal narrative of power and allure. Each scandal, each affair, was both strategic and instinctual, solidifying her status as a woman who played by no one's rules. While others sought fame through scripts and performances, Rita's private influence created its own legend. Studios whispered her name with both admiration and caution, fully aware that her presence could ignite desire, jealousy, and chaos with a single glance. Linda Hayes, the fallen starlet. By her late 30s, Linda Hayes's fame had faded, but her legend remained. Once courted by top producers and married stars, she now navigated Hollywood on her own terms, charging for encounters that once secured her leading roles. Her face remained beautiful, but her eyes told stories of ambition, betrayal, and survival. Everyone knew her history, the romances, the scandals, the nights spent dismantling reputations and alliances alike. Linda's life was a cautionary tale. She had wielded her allure like a sword, and now it cut in unexpected ways. Studios moved on, but whispers of her deeds lingered, a testament to a star who lived beyond the scripts handed to her, fully in command of her narrative. Yvonne de Carlo, the pin-up conqueror. From pin-up posters to studio sets, Yvonne de Carlo mastered the art of controlled chaos. Westerns and musicals by day, glamorous and dangerous gatherings by night, she danced between roles and lovers with seamless precision. Married actors, producers, and shadowy figures all succumbed to her charm, each liaison carefully chosen yet seemingly spontaneous. She refused to apologize or explain, her attitude a mixture of audacity and elegance. Yvonne's private life became a tapestry of whispered rumors, a legend that outshone any marquee. In Hollywood, she wasn't merely an actress. She was a force, a storm contained in high heels and shimmering gowns. Ingrid Pitt, the Gothic seductress. Survivor of horrors beyond Hollywood's imagination, Ingrid Pitt transformed trauma into intoxicating allure. British Gothic cinema made her face known, but it was her off-screen mastery of seduction that cemented her legend. She demanded privacy, exact conditions on set, and cultivated affairs that spanned continents. Directors, co-stars, and diplomats fell under her spell, yet she remained untouchable, the orchestrator of desire itself. In Pitt, Hollywood discovered a woman who could wield survival, beauty, and strategy in equal measure. Her legend was carved not from film accolades, but from the whispered awe and fear of those who dared cross her threshold. Karen Steele, the continental enigma, French charm, European sophistication, Karen Steele arrived with a plan only she could execute. Within weeks, rumors swirled about simultaneous liaisons with leading men and married screenwriters. She wielded seduction with precision, knowing which hearts to capture and which reputations to dismantle. Every gesture, every glance, was both play and strategy. Studios recognized her talent, but feared her independence. Men desired her but often regretted it. Steele's career was secondary to her aura, an intoxicating mix of mystery, allure, and control. Hollywood had never seen a woman who combined elegance with such unflinching command of desire. Faith Domergue, the Hollywood specialist, discovered young. Faith Domergue learned the harsh rules of studio life quickly. She turned fleeting affairs into tools of influence, liaisons into silent power plays. Screenwriters, executives, and fading actors alike found themselves caught in her orbit, often unaware of the strategic precision behind every move. Her filmography remained modest, yet her presence in Hollywood lore was colossal. Domergue wasn't merely a temptress. She was an operator, navigating desires and scandals like a chessboard, always 2 steps ahead of the studios that tried and failed to contain her audacity. Susan Hayward, the noir commander. Susan Hayward didn't chase love, she commanded it. Studio veterans, co-stars, and rising talents found themselves under her magnetic influence. Her affairs were strategic, often involving difficult or married men, a silent declaration of dominance and freedom. On set, she was professional but off-screen. She navigated a labyrinth of desire with precision and authority. Hayward's allure was both weapon and shield, a testament to her understanding of Hollywood's true power dynamics. Her legacy wasn't just in films, but in the whispered recognition of a woman who bent desire to her will without apology. Marie McDonald, the calculated exotic. Marie McDonald's exotic beauty was only the surface of a mind meticulously orchestrating desire. Never the same lover twice, she kept detailed mental and sometimes written records of her encounters, tracking names, dates, and impressions with a precision that bordered on obsession. Rumors circulated endlessly, actors disappearing for days, leaving sets pale, disoriented, or with mysterious gifts, all after evenings spent in McDonald's carefully curated sphere. On camera, she maintained the poised, glamorous persona of a rising starlet. Off camera, she was a strategist, a woman whose allure was as deliberate as it was intoxicating. She moved through Hollywood's shadows with elegance, turning whispered scandals into instruments of influence, her charms silent, but devastatingly effective. Every glance, every whispered word, every carefully timed interaction reinforced the myth. Marie McDonald was not merely a starlet of the golden age. She was a master of desire, a woman who understood power, manipulation, and the art of leaving a trail of both longing and awe behind her. 13. Dolores Del Rio, the Latina strategist. Dolores Del Rio transformed every limitation Hollywood imposed into a tool of her own design. In the 1930s, being Latina was seen as a barrier, but she spun it into a unique currency of allure, sophistication, and undeniable influence. Directors, producers, actors, and even European royalty fell under her magnetic presence, often unaware of the careful strategy guiding each glance, word, and gesture. Her secret apartments, private soirees, and discreet encounters became legendary among those in the know, a private world where rules did not apply. Del Rio moved with a precision that blurred the line between seduction and strategy, a master of social navigation in a hostile industry. She wielded her beauty and intellect like twin weapons, cultivating desire while maintaining complete control over her image and destiny. Off-screen, her charisma was electric, leaving men and colleagues mesmerized and often powerless to resist her carefully orchestrated charm. Every step, every smile, every whispered conversation contributed to the myth of Dolores Del Rio, a woman who shaped her own narrative, dominated a world that sought to confine her, and became an enduring icon of ambition, elegance, and unapologetic desire. June Kent, the European tempest. June Kent arrived in Hollywood like a tempest in a crystal teacup, elegant, composed yet capable of leaving chaos in her wake. Her porcelain features and measured poise concealed a mind attuned to desire, power, and strategy. Studios whispered about her lovers spanning continents and her uncanny ability to influence the most powerful men in the room. Film sets, lavish banquets, and private parties became her stages, each encounter a carefully choreographed performance where charm met calculated risk. Directors, producers, and actors found themselves entangled in her orbit, often unaware they were playing into her designs. Kent collected stories, favors, and whispers as skillfully as she collected roles, never revealing more than she intended. Her European sophistication was a veil for audacity, her allure a silent command that left hearts racing and reputations trembling. In Hollywood, she was not just an actress. She was a master of the hidden currencies of fame, desire, and influence, a living embodiment of seduction wrapped in elegance and cunning. Anita Ekberg, the Italian temptress. Anita Ekberg arrived in Hollywood like a force of nature, draped in European glamour and unafraid to claim her own power. From her first red carpet appearance, whispers followed her. Actors, studio heads, even high-profile politicians were rumored to be caught in her orbit. On set, she radiated effortless command, her presence bending cameras and co-stars alike to her will. Off-set, her private life became the stuff of legend. Late-night gatherings in Beverly Hills, secret rendezvous in Riviera hideaways, and whispered encounters that spanned continents. Ekberg's allure was strategic, her charm both playful and perilous, a weapon she wielded with precision. She wasn't merely admired, she was feared, desired, and mythologized. Her life was a delicate dance of rebellion and seduction, freedom and control, proving that Hollywood could never truly contain the Italian temptress. Each smile, each glance was a calculated act, leaving those who crossed her path both enchanted and bewildered. In every sense, she was a living embodiment of cinematic allure, a legend who mastered desire while rewriting the rules of power. These 15 divas didn't just act in films, they rewrote the rules of desire, influence, and power. They weaponized charm, flirtation, and scandal to carve out their own space in a male-dominated industry. Studios could try to control them, gossip could try to tame them, but these women never apologized. Today, they might be celebrated as pioneers of sexual freedom, or remembered as dangerous rebels. In their time, they were simply unforgettable.